Ambassador, all of the collective, had spent 40 solar cycles studying alien civilizations. He had witnessed the brutal war rituals of the Empire. He had observed the cold logic of the silicon-based. He had even survived a diplomatic mission to the flesh-eating hive. Nothing in his extensive career had prepared him for humanity. The confusion began during his first official visit to Earth. The human delegation had invited him to the home of their lead negotiator, a woman named Sarah. She had explained this was a common human custom, to welcome guests into personal dwellings. All had agreed, thinking it would provide valuable insight into human culture. The moment Sarah opened her front door, something small and furry launched itself at All's legs. He stumbled backward in alarm. His defensive scales automatically hardened across his body. His secondary heart began pumping emergency adrenaline. Sarah laughed warmly and scooped up the creature. It was covered in orange fur. It had sharp claws. Its eyes were vertical slits that reminded All uncomfortably of the predatory hunters from his home world. "Don't worry," Sarah said cheerfully. "This is just Muffin, she's harmless." All stared at the creature called Muffin. It stared back at him with an expression that suggested it was calculating exactly where to strike for maximum damage. "This creature lives inside your dwelling?" All asked carefully. "Of course," Sarah replied. She was making strange cooing noises at the animal. "Muffin has lived with me for 12 years. She's part of the family." All's translator device glitched for a moment. Surely it had malfunctioned. Family was a sacred concept among the. Family meant genetic connection. Family meant shared ancestry. Family did not include predatory mammals from entirely different evolutionary branches. Over the following weeks, All began documenting what he observed. His reports back to the High Council grew increasingly confused and lengthy. The humans kept creatures everywhere. They kept them in their homes. They kept them in their workplaces. They carried small ones in bags and pouches wherever they went. These were not working animals trained for specific tasks. These were not livestock bred for consumption. The humans simply wanted them nearby. The humans loved them. All met a human engineer who shared his small apartment with a massive reptile called an iguana. The creature was cold-blooded. It required special lighting and heating equipment. It contributed nothing to the household. The engineer had named it Steve and spoke to it every morning before leaving for work. He met a human doctor who kept venomous snakes in glass enclosures. She handled them with her bare hands. She called them beautiful. She knew each one by name and could describe their individual personalities in great detail. He met a human soldier, a decorated warrior with 17 combat commendations, who carried a photograph of something called a hamster in his wallet. The hamster had died 3 years ago. The soldier still became emotional when discussing it. All requested additional researchers from the. A team of 12 scientists arrived within the month. They set up observation posts across major human cities. They conducted interviews. They collected data. After 6 months of intensive study, they were more confused than when they started. The lead researcher, Doctor, presented her preliminary findings to the diplomatic team. Her scales had turned pale gray from stress. "The humans do not simply keep these creatures as companions," she explained. "They restructure their entire lives around them. They spend significant portions of their income on food, medical care, and entertainment for these animals. They modify their living spaces. They adjust their schedules. They cancel important events if their creature is unwell." She pulled up a holographic display showing economic data. The human pet industry generates over 300 billion credits annually. This includes food, toys, clothing, furniture, and medical procedures for animals. Ambassador All leaned forward. "Clothing. The animals require clothing." "No," Doctor said slowly. "The animals do not require clothing. The humans simply wish to dress them. They find it amusing." The room fell silent. Every present was struggling to process this information. The situation became more complicated when humanity began expanding beyond their solar system. Wherever humans traveled, they brought their creatures with them. The first human colony ship to reach the Andromeda sector contained over 2,000 pets. The colonists had refused to leave without them. The Galactic Council was deeply troubled by this development. Several species filed formal complaints. They were particularly alarmed. Humans had started adopting creatures that resembled the larvae. They were keeping them in glass terrariums and feeding them vegetable matter. "This is an insult to our species," the ambassador declared during an emergency council session. "They are treating our evolutionary cousins as playthings." The human representative, a calm woman named Ambassador, smiled politely. "With respect, Ambassador, we treat our pets better than most species treat their own citizens. These creatures receive excellent nutrition, comprehensive medical care, and constant affection. Many humans would die to protect them." "That is precisely what concerns us," the ambassador replied. "Your emotional attachment to random fauna is illogical and dangerous." Ambassador's smile did not waver. "Perhaps, but it is who we are." The research team continued their observations. They documented cases that seemed to defy all rational explanation. A human woman on colony station Artemis had adopted a creature from an unexplored world. The creature had 8 legs, acidic saliva, and a habit of screaming at midnight. Had no idea what species it belonged to. The woman named it Pickles and taught it to respond to voice commands. A human family on Mars had taken in a juvenile creature that resembled a moving boulder. It ate metal and excreted corrosive waste. It had accidentally destroyed 2 vehicles and part of their habitat dome. They refused all suggestions to relocate it. They said it would miss them. A human scientist on a deep space research vessel had formed a bond with an energy-based. The entity had no physical body. It communicated through electromagnetic pulses. The scientists spoke to it daily and claimed it understood jokes. Ambassador all began to suspect that humans were fundamentally different from every other species they had encountered. They possessed an almost supernatural ability to form emotional connections with other living things. It did not matter if the creature was dangerous. It did not matter if the creature was intelligent. It did not matter if the creature was even from the same dimension of reality. Humans would find a way to love it. This tendency had significant diplomatic implications. When the finally established formal trade relations with Earth, the negotiations hit an unexpected obstacle. The humans wanted permission to adopt cloud swimmers. Cloud swimmers were mindless organisms that floated through the upper atmosphere of the. They served no purpose. They had no economic value. They were, by any reasonable standard, boring. The humans thought they were adorable. "We would like to import breeding pairs for domestic ownership," the human trade representative explained. "Our preliminary research suggests they would thrive in modified aquarium environments." All was genuinely speechless. "You want to keep cloud swimmers as pets?" "They're so pretty," the representative said earnestly. "They glow at night. My daughter would love one." The council spent 3 days debating this request. In the end, they approved it. They simply could not understand why anyone would want a cloud swimmer, but they saw no reason to refuse. Within 1 Earth year, cloud swimmers became one of the most popular exotic pets in human space. Breeding programs were established. Care guides were published. Online communities formed where thousands of humans shared photographs and discussed optimal feeding schedules. The final entry in Ambassador All's cultural report attempted to summarize his findings. He had spent nearly 5 years studying this single aspect of human behavior. He had consulted with psychologists, biologists, sociologists, and philosophers. He had observed hundreds of human-animal relationships firsthand. His conclusion was simple. Humans possessed an unlimited capacity for love. They did not restrict this capacity to their own species. They did not restrict it to creatures that could love them back. They saw something worthy of affection in almost every living thing they encountered. This made them strange. This made them confusing. This also made them remarkably valuable allies. When the devouring swarm invaded the outer colonies, it was humans who organized the evacuation efforts. They refused to leave any colonists behind. They also refused to leave any pets behind. Rescue ships designed for 500 passengers arrived carrying 700 people and 300 animals. When the collective threatened to destroy a primitive world for its mineral resources, it was humans who intervened. The world contained no intelligent life. It contained nothing of strategic or economic value. It contained billions of small creatures with large eyes and soft fur. The humans declared they would go to war before allowing these creatures to be harmed. They retreated. They calculated that the humans were serious. They also calculated that fighting a species willing to die for fuzzy animals was a losing proposition. Ambassador All retired from diplomatic service after his time on Earth. He returned to with a single piece of personal cargo. It was a small Earth creature called a cat. It was orange. It had sharp claws. Its name was Chairman Meow. His family was horrified. His colleagues were confused. His neighbors gossiped for months. But late at night, when Chairman Meow curled up on his lap and made that strange, vibrating sound humans called purring, all understood something he had never grasped before. The warmth he felt had no logical explanation. The happiness required no justification. Perhaps the humans were onto something after all. He scratched Chairman Meow behind the ears and smiled. The cat purred louder. Outside his window, the twin moons of rose over the purple mountains. Somewhere out there, across the vast darkness of space, billions of humans were doing exactly the same thing with their own beloved creatures. It was illogical, it was inefficient, it was profoundly, wonderfully human. And now, in his own small way, All was part of it too.